How's it going, everyone? My name's Alex. That's Jeremy. He might be this side on your screen. I don't know. And this is the Shrubway Series podcast. I just got back from work. I don't usually wear a collared shirt. Otherwise, unless I'm going to work. Jeremy is not wearing a collared shirt because he worked from home, I guess, is today. You
Yes, that's correct.
lucky duck. I had to go and teach America's youth who made me. Anyway, Jeremy,
I'm doing awesome, Alex. Super excited for the Super Bowl this Sunday between the Chiefs and the Eagles. I know it's not a super sexy matchup that a lot of people were looking for, but it is the Super Bowl. It is Super Bowl week. Everybody's now in New Orleans, and apparently the market value of the ticket though has gone down exponentially. Just to get into the stadium, it might only cost you 1,500 versus like last year was like three times that. So it's yeah, for some reason the cost of the ticket has gone down exponentially, but apparently there's price gouging in New Orleans of charging a couple of $1,000 a night versus a hotel that typically only charges like 300 a night.
yeah, well, unfortunately, you see that all the time when it comes to these sorts of big events. And I'm not going to talk about my liberal agenda right now, but
Of course.
this is capitalism for you at its finest.
Yep.
Anyway, so Jeremy, we've got a lot to dig into today. Super Bowl withstanding, we'll dig into that, I think, a little more later this week, folks. Please bear with us because I've got gigs every single night this week. So Jeremy and I will figure out another day where he's not working at the office when he and I can get together earlier in the day. So we'll talk about Super Bowl stuff later this week, probably Thursday or Friday is my guess. That will be back in your ears or on your screens. But Jeremy, let's talk with the start with with the big news of the weekend. Now we're not going to become a basketball podcast because, quite frankly, I don't know jack shit about basketball. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers for a couple of peanuts and a player to be named. Kind of wild there, Jeremy. From what my understanding is Luka's one of the best players in the league, probably top three, top five player at this point.
Totally.
He's getting traded for Anthony Davis, who's a good player, has had good success, but is not nearly the same kind of guy. He's going to now join LeBron James out in LA. Perhaps he'll be able to help carry LeBron into the playoffs. I have a feeling that LeBron will be playing the Scottie Pippen part this time and letting Luka kind of facilitate things there. Um,
Took it offensively.
Correct. Yeah. Kind of wild there. I asked somebody to explain this to me in baseball terms, and they said it was like trading Juan Soto for Freddie Freeman, both really good players. One leaving his prime, one not even in his prime yet. So Mets fans out there, be happy that we have Juan Soto, I suppose. Once again, rejoice. Jeremy, you're the big basketball guy. When this news broke, did it freak you out? Were you upset that your Knickerbockers didn't make this trade?
No, I'm kind of glad, the Knicks stayed out of this sort of mess of a deal. And I think, honestly, that the Mavericks were looking to just unload on Luka because they didn't want to pay him the extra couple hundred million or whatever they were going to have to with his contract. And so they were like just trying to find any way to release him, try any way to trade him. And they're like, all right, great. They're going to give us Anthony Davis, Max Christie. And I think they got a first round draft pick. If I'm not mistaken, I think they got an A draft pick in that deal to Dallas.
Okay.
Uh, and so I think that's honestly the reason why. And in addition to that, is some of Luka's habits, like off the court and on the court, about how he isn't like, especially last year in the playoffs, how he wasn't working out as hard as he should be. And so the effort wasn't really meeting their expectations. And so I think that's honestly where this what this came down to. And obviously it just shocked the NBA world. Like even Brian Windhorst, who is an NBA insider, didn't even had no clue that something like this could happen. And here, lo and behold, it happened all of a sudden, just like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's now a Laker. And LeBron James is, only 40. He's 40 years old. He's, only got a year or two left of his career. And so then, like you mentioned, Alex, that he's going to be really running the team, especially the offense and facilitating the offense.
Yeah, and look, I think once again, my limited basketball knowledge here, you don't see this young stud talent get traded before he's entered his prime. It was almost like when the Nationals traded Juan Soto to the Padres.
Uh,
Now, Juan Soto was obviously a lot younger still, but still was one of the best baseball players in the league with years of control left. As a fan of that team, you've got to be. I mean, I know a couple Mavericks fans that live here in Texas. Where I live, it's a lot of San Antonio Spurs country. But my good friend Mark, Jeremy knows Mark, big time Mavs fan. He told me goes, I couldn't even sleep the other night after I heard this because he was
right.
so upset. Now,
Yeah.
do I think it's a little over the top? Yeah, Mark, love you, buddy, but I'm a little over the top, buddy. Um,
Right.
but
Hey,
I that's your future there. You're trading your future away for what? Right? And I think that's the question you have to ask yourself is we're trading this future away. I know you don't want to necessarily pay him this little extra bit. You have these problems with his working out, but he's been averaging what 28, 8 and 8 his whole career,
yeah, that's about
which
it.
is
Yeah, and
pretty
he put up a bunch of
ridiculous.
triple doubles in his career. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and as young as he is, I mean,
I think the biggest question mark though for him, he doesn't play great defense. He is not a good defensive player.
sure.
Not
I think
nearly
you can make the case that a lot of NBA players don't play good defense.
right. But although I would say even LeBron at his age of 40 still plays a pretty good
That's
defense.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think and once again, I don't watch the NBA very much, but from what I see, it seems like defense is very it's not valued as much as you would think it would be, at least in
yeah,
the regular season. Then when you get to the postseason, right, then it seems like everybody decides to start playing harder and you don't see 150-point games, right?
absolutely.
Um, so defense is obviously important. You got to be able to play both sides of the court. Um, but I don't know, man. There's a reason why I'm not getting paid to make decisions, but I, I can't imagine wanting to let homegrown talent leave while you
Right.
control him for a couple more years, you know. But I will say to the if the Mavericks get one thing out of all this, right? They weren't going to pay this kid. At least they didn't do what Joe Shane did with Barkley and McKinney. And at least they got something back for him. Probably got fleeced. He definitely got fleeced, but at least he
For
got
sure.
something back. You know,
Right.
I don't.
And I mean, I guess at least for the Mavericks' sake, they do have Kyrie Irving run the point, so he's going to be the focal point of the offense, and then getting it to Anthony Davis down the post, and it's going to be
And you have
that's
Clay Thompson there too. You know,
exactly. So
so
not all is lost for Dallas, and I think both of them are going to make either the play-in or the playoffs. Obviously, at this point, with the expansion of the playoffs, that basically everybody gets in almost. It's like with the exception, I believe, of 5 teams per league, so it's only 10 teams out of the 30 that don't
yeah,
make the playoffs with play-in.
yeah,
So I think they'll both be okay.
yeah,
It's my honest opinion, and I think that they're gonna be in the playoffs.
yeah. I'd be shocked if they don't get into the playoffs just with how large that pool is now. But still, who knows? Who knows, man? Speaking of trades, Jeremy, a couple NFL trades to keep an eye out for here, people.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp announced on his social medias that the Rams told him he was going to get traded to where I don't know. Probably to a contender is where they're going to try and send him because he spent his whole career there. What does that mean for Matt Stafford? Matt Stafford might be on the move again too. So Giants fans, maybe Matt Stafford's quarterbacking you next year. I don't know if the Giants are in a spot to be giving up assets for an aging Matt Stafford. It screams Aaron Rodgers to the Jets to me, but
Yeah, a little bit.
and we saw how he played in that cold weather game. Wasn't terrible, wasn't great, you know. And then we have Miles Garrett coming out requesting a trade from the Browns. I think he's going to go to Buffalo. I think he wants to go to a team that's going to win. I think Buffalo will go hard after him. Obviously, they have that relationship. Dorsey does with the front office there in Cleveland. They traded for Amari Cooper earlier this season, so there's obviously that relationship going on there already as it is. I also think you could see Kansas City make a big move at one or both of those guys. I think Cooper more so than Garrett in that they don't really have that true alpha X number one wide receiver, and especially with Travis Kelce aging. I don't know that Cooper is going to be that alpha X receiver, but if you have him across from Xavier Worthy, you still have Travis Kelce, and then, whatever other outside receiver you end up adding in there. Um, though I think Cooper probably also plays a lot of the slot, so he might not be a great fit there. So who the hell knows? Buffalo can once again, I think, be a landing spot for Cooper. Um,
I've also heard of Miles Garrett maybe going to the Falcons. The Falcons could use a defensive end like that
they're good.
with developing Michael Penix at quarterback and then
Yeah.
maybe develop something there.
I could see him going to Washington. Once again, if he's wanting to go, I don't know if he's got a no trade clause in his contract, but
Yeah,
he wants to go to a team that has a chance to win. I mean, Washington's got the rookie quarterback that set the league on fire, probably had like a top five rookie quarterback season behind, Andrew Luck, probably Dan Marino. And then I'm sure there are a couple others that you could point to where you could keep that conversation going on there. But I think that would make more sense. I could also see Philly for whatever reason. It always seems like when Philly wants someone, they'll make the trade and they'll do whatever cap gymnastics they need to get him in there. But Washington will not need to do a lot of gymnastics with their cap. The question is, though, does Washington want to give up 2 first-round picks plus when their roster is not filled out? But
right.
one of the biggest needs is run stopper, and to help stop the run. So Miles
Exactly.
Garrett perhaps to the NFC East, and then we're gonna have to deal with him twice a year and want to throw ourselves under a bus, Jeremy.
Oh, and then of course, I guess opens the conversation of, well, Miles Garrett leaves, then their quarterback situation is a mess. And apparently, I was hearing this morning on Boomer and Geo that they were saying that maybe Miles Garrett, with him being out of the picture, that they're going to go ahead and draft the quarterback at number, what are they? They're just ahead of the Giants. So then at two. So, but like at least Greg Giannotti was like, don't worry, Giants fans. I think you could still be able to get Cam Ward at number three. So I don't think that there's much of a issue there. I think the Giants will still be able to get Cam Ward if they choose to do so at number three.
And Cam Ward's the guy who, if they do draft a quarterback, who I would prefer.
Right. Me too.
Uh, Obviously, I'm not an NFL scout, but I prefer Cam Ward from the tape. Sorry, cough drop, folks. I'm throwing things down from the games I've seen from Cam Ward versus Shador. I always left Cam Ward's game feeling like once again he elevated his team versus Shador. I felt like he was being elevated by the best two-way player that we've seen in a long time in Travis Hunter. Um, Jeremy, now let's go on to some happier times.
Yes. Happy.
Giants fans.
Love it.
Thursday night, we're gonna find out if Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, if he's not, I say we riot. I say we go
Right.
in Ohio for the NFL, kickoff, whatever thing, blah 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 blah, the Hall of Fame game. I say we go out there and we take a massive heaping shit on the field. All
Good
right.
deal. Good
I
deal.
say we go out there and we boo Roger Goodell, we boo the selection committee. Eli Manning should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, Jeremy, what's the case against Eli being a first ballot Hall of Famer? What do you point to?
The one reason that people are against that is because he's a 500 record regular season quarterback. And
Yep.
that's obviously, the team was declining his last years as a Giant. And so that's why his record wound up being the way it was. And
Mhm.
so that's the argument that a lot of people are making against him being a first ballot Hall of Famer. But you can't obviously dismiss the two Super Bowl runs in 2007, 2008 season, as well as 2010, 2011, or 2011, 2012. Um, and also defeating arguably, one of, if not the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, twice. Um, so, I mean, I guess you can make a case either way, but honestly, for me, I would still put him in as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Hopefully, Thursday night, select him as a Hall of Famer, and then he gets inducted this summer at the Hall of Fame game.
that's right. Look. I mean, the induction doesn't happen at the Hall of Fame game, but it happens right around
Oh,
right around,
right around there,
right.
absolutely.
So like Don't hate us in the comments. By the way, if you're still listening, like and subscribe, please. It costs nothing, and Jeremy will send you a kiss like this, like that. He'll send it in the mail. All right. DM us your address, and Jeremy will send you that kiss, like right on a postcard. He'll put some lipstick on and everything. Okay. Jeremy, I hope you're excited for that. Ask Jenna for some lipstick so you can do that. Anyway, the other reason I've heard people say, "Oh, Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer," is because of the interceptions. But Jeremy, I mean, he had well, you've been to Cooperstown before, right?
I have actually not been to Cooperstown yet. I've not been to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame
Have you
yet.
ever been to Have you ever been to Canton?
I have not been to Canton,
All
Ohio
right,
either.
folks. Well, I've been to both. So Jeremy, you can be quiet now. Shut your mouth
Go
hole.
ahead and speak to that.
That. Look, they're both museums, right?
Yeah,
I know they call it the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame Museum. It's not
right,
the Hall of Fame, period. It's a museum. So you've got to tell the story of the NFL. Tom Brady, first ballot Hall of Famer. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the best head coach quarterback duo in NFL history. Now, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes may very well surpass that at some point in time. They're probably winning Super Bowl number 4 on Sunday. There's my prediction for you guys. There's a little teaser for Friday's episode or Thursday's episode, whatever it might be. But uh, you beat the best quarterback in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, not once, but twice. You defeated him when he was undefeated. You defeated one of, if not the best, defensive minded coach of all time. I mean, Bill Belichick won what, 8 Super Bowls, split
yeah,
between the Giants and the Patriots, right? I mean,
right,
Bill Belichick has been was around the NFL for a long time, folks. And for a league they call not for long, he was there for pretty long, right? I you got to look at that 2011 2012 run, which, if I'm not mistaken, is still the best, if not one of the best runs in postseason history. He still has the record for single postseason passing yards.
wow.
I
That's
believe I
crazy.
I believe in those 2 runs he threw one interception, which was a ball that popped off of Steve Smith's chest. So it
Right,
wasn't like he threw a dud of a pass. He threw it to the receiver and he just let it deflect off of him. And then you could say, well, he didn't have a lot of success in the postseason, before that or after that. You're absolutely right. But the one time we did see him get back to the postseason after 2011, 2012, right? That was when they had everyone remembers the boat game, right? He was throwing darts around that field again, and his receivers were just dropping everything. So
right. The end zone for a bit of touchdown. What there was,
there's multiple third down conversions that Odell Beckham Jr. dropped, Victor
right,
Cruz dropped. So I get it. The team was declining for the last few years around him. Eli was not a mobile quarterback. There's a difference between quarterbacks now and quarterbacks even 5, 10 years ago, right? He was a pocket passer who was not mobile. All right. I very vividly remember that London game against the Dolphins where he scrambled for a touchdown and it felt like he was basically like speed walking. I could have done backflips to the end zone faster than what he was doing his run. Okay.
right.
He'd be the first to admit he's not fast, right? But, but,
Also, I'm sorry to interject,
uh,
but as we're on the topic about Eli running, I do vividly just remember a Sunday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles on, I believe, 4th and 10, and he has a clean pocket, clean grass in front of him, and goes to run for a first down, but doesn't know how to slide, and
yes.
then he fumbles the football. It does not count as like he was down and gave himself up. It was a fumble recovered by Philadelphia.
Yes.
So,
I mean,
uh,
Eli was a doofy guy. He is still a doofy guy, right?
yeah,
But now he's undefeated in Pro Bowl games. That's right. Take that, Peyton. You can't beat your little brother. um, if it was just a hall of like the greatest players ever, I could see the argument for not putting him in first ballot. But when you're telling the story of the NFL, especially when it comes to quarterback, it's all about the Super Bowls. And what are the quality of the Super Bowls? We don't talk about Trent Dilfer and the 2000 Super Bowl with the Ravens against the Giants, where they bludgeoned the living crap out of the Giants and say Trent Dilfer is the reason they won that game. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Cool. Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl. He's not in this Hall of Fame. Why? Because they won 20-19 on a missed field goal, right?
Right.
Eli Manning led game-winning drives in Super Bowl 42 and in Super Bowl 46.
And he also led the league, I think, in fourth quarter touchdowns, I
Yeah, fourth
believe.
quarter comebacks, at least in that up to that Super Bowl 46 run, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
And they did not have a great defense. I know some people think that they like had a really good defense that year. I mean, I know they had Chase Blackburn. I believe Justin Tuck was on the team.
yeah.
Super Bowl 46 run, but they were not stellar. They were still giving up plenty of points per game, but Eli was just bringing them back every game. If they were down by fourth quarter, he was able to bring them back and win the game for them. So like you never thought that the Giants were out of it.
And if he got them with the in-one score, you figured, okay, he could maybe bring them back. And he did. And he would
Right?
do it, you know? Even until Eli's last games, if they were within one score, I thought, as long as the pocket could stay somewhat clean around him, he could lead them down and he can, score and they could go ahead and they can win. Because he was able to throw with anticipation, something that Daniel Jones never did in his 6 years with the Giants, right? So I'm hoping to hear Eli gets in. I could, unfortunately, we are obviously Giants homers, right? I could see him not get in this time and it be a second or third ballot sort of thing, but he will get into the Hall of Fame. Um, though I do think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's going to be close. It's not cut and dry. Like when Brady goes up, Brady's getting in first ballot. When Philip Rivers goes up, I think there'll be debate there because once again, he never won a Super Bowl. Do we put him in there? Probably still.
Right. Philip Rivers, I don't know if he played in an AFC championship game or not. Or maybe he played in an AFC title game but lost. I'm not sure if he made it there.
I don't there may have been one season where he did, but that would be it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I mean he had a lot of competition around him. It was hard for him to get to a conference championship game and then let alone a Super Bowl.
correct. I'm checking right now to see if he played in a conference championship game. Yeah, 2007.
2007, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, 2007 when the Patriots beat them en route to their 18 and 1
One
season.
season. Yep, that's right. That's right. So, hopefully we got some positive things to look forward to here as Giants fans. We can look forward to looking back. Because it's going to be another rough season. I have a feeling next year, whether it's Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, or whoever it might be. Personally, build out the trenches, but we both know that Joe Shane and Brian Dable are not going to do that because they feel like they have to win next year because of things that John Mara said. Anyway, Jeremy, let's close with some baseball here. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, let's talk about some free agency things. Yankees sign Tim Hill. Is that
Okay,
right?
Bieber,
That's right.
2.8 another 1 year deal.
Ryan Stanek is back with the Mets. Another
Yep.
1 year deal there. Um, Pete Alonso is still a free agent, Jeremy. The polar
He's
bear is
still a
still
free
a
agent here
free
on
agent.
what's today's date? It's February 4th. Pitchers and catchers are reporting spring training, and we don't know where Pete Alonso's playing. What is this? Do the Mets want? You know what? I want to say something about this. All right, Alex, if you give me just a little bit of time here to talk about this,
Um,
I really think that Pete Alonso just I think he feel like he needs the Mets more than the Mets need him at this point because it really feels like to me Steve Cohen and that front office does not really find like they need Pete Alonso in their lineup next year. If they don't have him, they can win without him. So it's almost like I think Pete Alonso and Scott Boras are probably getting a little bit more desperate as the days go by that he doesn't sign with the team. So for whatever that's worth. But, I mean, this is obviously not the offseason that Pete Alonso was looking for. But he's desperation is definitely amping up.
Correct. I look, I 100% agree with what you're saying, Jeremy. I think you're spot on there where the Mets are saying, hey, man, we've added the most WAR of anybody this offseason. Everybody's talking about the Dodgers winning the offseason. Apparently, the Mets have added the most WAR. Now, hopefully that helps them at least get back to the playoffs. Does that help them get over the hump? Who knows, right? Hopefully it does. But Pete Alonso, if you're watching this right now, I want to say something directly to you. Pete, if you're hoping somebody gets injured during spring training and you're gonna get a big payday, you're not. If you're hoping that the Royals first baseman is going to go down injured and you're going to get that 6 year, $200 million contract from them, it's the fucking Royals. You're not. If you think that Uncle Steve Cohen is just going to come in and swoop in, he's not. Sign the contract, Pete. Come back to Queens. The fans want you back. We know you like it here. But here's the thing, Jeremy. I want players who want to be in the Mets colors. I don't want someone to feel like they're forced to play for the Mets, right? I don't want Michael Kadires. I don't want, Kumar Rockers who won't sign their contract when they're drafted by the Mets and then they go somewhere else. Uh, if you want to be a Met, I want you here. And I believe that Pete wants to be a Met, but I don't know how much he does. He's definitely overplayed his hand. Scott Boras got greedy and he screwed Pete out of God knows how many dollars.
Yeah, no, that's eloquently put, Alex. And Pete Alon, I mean, where else would he go? There was talks about Toronto. I
He
mean,
has no market now. It was
right,
Toronto and it was the Mets. He has
right.
no market.
For like a second there, for like I guess a couple days there, they were talking potentially with the Yankees, but I didn't really think that was anything serious. And that's
I,
stuff.
as soon as the Yankees signed, who was the guy from St. Louis?
Goldschmidt, Paul
Yeah,
Goldschmidt.
as soon as Paul Goldschmidt signed with the Yankees, everybody with two brain cells to rub together knew that he wasn't going to go to the Yankees.
Right.
But everybody knew that. My Beagle knew he wasn't going to the Yankees. All right? I knew he wasn't going. You knew he wasn't going to the Yankees too. If you're gonna sit there
Yeah.
right now and you're gonna be listening to this and you're gonna be saying, "Oh no, you did not know he was he we knew he wasn't going to the Yankees at that point in time."
Right.
They've grossly, unfortunately for Pete, overestimated his value. I hope he is back. I love Pete Alonso. He's one of my favorite players on the Mets. Why? Not because he's the best player, but he's a fun guy to watch. And man, that piss missile, basically what was a walk-off against Milwaukee is going to go down as one of the most impactful plays I've ever seen as a Mets fan. Granted it was on TV, but still one of the most impactful plays I ever watched.
And then off the closer, that's coming to the Yankees this year.
That's right. I mean, he might be a peasant. Who knows? We'll find out.
Find out.
Come on, Pete. Sign the damn contract. Now, I will end this Pete Alonso segment here from at least from me. If Jeremy has anything to add, he's more than welcome to. I'll end this with this. I saw today a tweet from someone who said he saw Pete Alonso yesterday in a restaurant in Manhattan or somewhere in the city. And he said, Pete, are you coming back? The fans want you back, something to this extent. And all Pete said back to him was LFGM. And all of us Mets fans know it means let's fucking go Mets. So take from that whatever you will. Now, this guy might have been making that story up. Who knows? But I'm hoping that Pete meant it. And that means Pete's coming back. But I'm not going to hold my breath. And neither should you that Pete Alonso is coming back.
And then
But
if he,
where the
and
hell
then
is he going if he doesn't come back?
right, I mean, I'm sure somebody, maybe the White Sox. The White Sox could use a first baseman. They could use a lot of players. He could go to the lowly White Sox.
And who does he have behind him to protect him, right? Yeah, like
Right. He doesn't have anybody. Um, I mean, they have like Jake Berger and they have I believe it's like or not Jesus Sanchez, it's the Marlins. I mean, they have some players in the lineup, but they're not very good. I
yeah,
mean, but the thing is, if Lonzo doesn't stay with the Mets, he doesn't come back with the Mets, who's going to be their first baseman? Who's going to be that
Mark
starting for
Vientos.
Vientos, right? Which is not still pretty good option too, but obviously you'd still rather have P. He provides a lot to that offense.
Yeah, and Pete's not a great defensive first baseman, but he's a better defensive first baseman. And Vientos was not great over at third base. Hopefully, he continues to develop over there. Um, so I'm not entirely sure I want to take a guy who has never played first base or he's played a little bit in the minors, but take a guy who is like a minus defender and now put him over at first base where you have to learn how to pick. Oh boy, pick your nose all you want. I don't know if I want you picking balls though, Marky Mark.
Right.
Jeremy, anything else to add?
No, I think that's good to do it. We're at least, spring training is upon us, and then we'll have more. I'm sure there'll be more news coming out this month about free agency, where P. Alonso's going, and a lot more exciting stuff, and Super Bowl 59 this week.
That's right. So, once again, guys, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing down below. It doesn't cost you anything. You just hit that button. Hit the like button as well. Leave us a rating if you're on Spotify. Drop a comment down below. Where do you think Pete Alonso goes? How much do you think he signs for? Is he going to get a 1 year deal? Is he going to take a 3 year deal with a player opt out maybe after year one? I don't know. Drop that down below. Let us know what you think. Mets fans, do you want Pete Alonso back? I think the general consensus is yes, but not if he's going to cost $1 million. And as always, folks, we always end our podcasts
Every
with
time.
words. Jeremy, he's gonna mouth them with me as I say them. Back after this.